a good start. Hey guys, what's going on? John Graves Kayak Fishing. We're gonna have some fun today, so get dressed, okay? We're out in the middle of Central Florida. We got out of here pretty early, and just to get in this particular spot, it's taken me a little while to get out here. But boom, get on my first cast, and I just bird nested. Great stuff. Put a new lure on there and didn't adjust my casting reel for the weight of the lure. Looks like I'm gonna wipe off. Boom, how's that? Good morning, everybody. John Graves Kayak Fishing. Are you guys dressed? Are you ready to do something today? We have a type of a front coming through here. It's a massive chunk of fog that's rolling through here right now. And it might get a little thick, but we got definitely wind just started picking up about maybe 15 minutes ago. It was relatively calm prior to that. And but here we are. We are just ripping through some lily pads right now, seeing if we can't conjure up the elusive double-digit bass. We're on a trophy hunt today. We are on a trophy hunt. If you guys aren't not familiar with Florida's trophy catch, you need to check that out. So trophycatch.com, my Florida trophy catch, you can look that up. And for every 8+ pound bass that you catch, it puts you in the running for a Phoenix bass boat. Somebody back there making some noise. Fish are definitely active right now, so whether they're just pushing right before this front comes through, in which they'll settle down when it is upon us. Most often it seems that's what happens. But definitely picked up the wind. We got a constant, probably a 6, 7, 8 mile an hour wind right now. So we are just bombing some lily pads, just taking about every 2, 3, 4 feet or so as we cruise up along the edge of a big group of them. I'm using a 3-inch swim bait, very similar to a gambler swim bait. It's got that hinge up there, back tail, nice fat, feels good. This is actually a homemade. I compare it to a gambler because it's very similar to that. But this is a homemade lure that a young man gave to me and wanted me to test out, and he gave me 3 of them, and this is my last one, if that's any indication of how well they did. Absolutely nice thump on that tail. I think it delivers a message early in the morning, like, wake up, the burritos are being served right now. But the largemouth bass down here will always seem to feast on that 2.5, 2 7/4, or like a 2 3/4, or 3-inch, 3.5-inch swim bait. So keep that in mind if you come down here to Florida and you want to catch some big fish. Always throw some swim baits in there. The Strike King Rage Tail, that big Rage Tail, that's a fantastic swim bait to use. Soft plastic. Has a great thump, big wide thump, like a big casual, like boop, boop, boop thump to that tail. And boy, I've caught my biggest fish on that. I sure have. Hello, everybody. Good morning. You got your clothes on? Let's do it. I'm doing great, man. Life's good so far. Life is always good. If I'm breathing, life is good, man. Life is good. And I'm not sure if that's a bald eagle over there or not. I've just seen a black silhouette, but boy, it certainly has a profile and the size of one. And the head just seems to be a little bit lighter. It's not uncommon you see bald eagles in your backyard down here in Central Florida. In fact, there's bears, black bears, alligators, you know, very prehistoric North Carolina sandhill cranes, which is the oldest living prehistoric fossil record. I guess that's how you say that. So let's burn this a few more times. We got some grass, bamboo grass over here. I have it rigged up as a Texas rig, but I'm burning it across, really just kind of moving it pretty right up underneath the surface so you get a little wake happening. I'm just kind of ringing the dinner bell. You know, fish are moving, they're active, they're hopping and skipping right now. Probably a nice little chilly night for them here in Florida. You know, it got down to a chilly 65 degrees. Water temperatures have been dropping, so the crappie have been, you know, ooh, something came up on that. I just saw a little green something. So something's finding this interesting. If you're unfamiliar with the waters here in Florida, you just kind of, you know, you got to keep an eye out. I haven't been in this particular part yet, and so you don't know. Speaking of alligators, you just got to be mindful. And you know, alligators, you know, they're not really interested in inflatable kayaks or anything. You don't want to piss one off, that's for sure. You don't want to like prod one. You don't want to chase after one. You don't want to get close to one to get pictures. None of that stuff's a good idea. You just want to avoid them at all costs. If you see one up on the bank, just continue doing what you're doing. If he, you know, sends into the water, then that's another issue. I'd kick this Mirage drive into over. So I'd be like watching the Flintstones. My kayak would lift up above the water and my Mirage drive would go. A lot of good buddies of mine are down in Dale Hollow, so I want to say hello to all those my friends down there. Big shout out to Brandon Palmer, CEO of Little Miami Outfitters. Brandon just want to check out some really nice rods, and if you want, I'm telling you, the price of these rods are incredible for what the quality is of these rods. Little Miami Outfitters, check them out online. Little Miami Outfitters. And Brandon's design of rods are amazing. You want a good all-purpose rod for less than 150 bucks. You're not gonna beat. Whoa! You're not gonna beat the Proteus and other really cool models that he has. So spin and casting. So check those out. Little Miami Outfitters. So he's down in Dale Hollow right now in the Tennessee Bass Nation. Kayak tournament series is getting underway, I believe, down there. That's the Bassmasters Kayak tournament series. Head up by Steve Owens. Steve Owens just came up through the ranks and has just really done a great job and really kind of, in a big way, has saved some of that kayak fishing in the Midwest and preserved it and kept it around. Kayak bass fishing really started to blow up back in the 2015, 2016, 2017 era. Chad Hoover, you know, and the KBF series that he had. Chad did a really good job, sort of like the great uncle of kayak fishing. Chad's done a tremendous amount to promote kayak fishing. Chad largely got me into it, you know, following the KBF tournament trails. I entered 38 tournament trails, or like 38 kayak series. What, we got something chasing me there, cowboy? Come on, let's do it. What I didn't know is that in your first year, you actually, back then in KBF, you had a Rookie of the Year award, and that's just really like class participation points. Man, I came just a few points away. If I would have known, I would have got into a couple more of them, but I entered so many kayak bass fishing tournaments my first year. I was just absolutely excited with doing it. They were online, so it was kind of a hit new thing. A lot of these things were like statewide, so you can compete against other kayak anglers statewide. And you may ask how you do that. Well, in kayak bass fishing, we don't use the weight, we use the length of the fish, and we measure that. I don't have my measuring trowel with me right now. A catch board is usually what most, it's a very specifically made for measuring fish. It's made out of aluminum. You can't bend it, you can't alter it, can't change the lines on it. So most tournaments require you to use this official board to measure your fish, but you take a picture of the fish laying down, which is a challenge in itself. Think about it. You have to become sort of a fish whisperer. And you lay the fish down. The bass's mouth has to be closed. Your hands can't really be over particular parts of the fish. The tail has to be flat. The fish has to be flat and resting, or you're penalized in your measurements, usually by an inch, which can be very significant in a tournament. I've seen people lose big dollars by a quarter of an inch. It's no fun. Big bass by just less than a half of an inch, and you're like, oh my God, there goes, $500. That would have paid for the gas and hotel and everything on the way down here. How's everybody doing today? That's yes. You can on the those walleye tournaments. That's something. I mean, here we are joking about it, but you never would really think that someone would do that. We got weights and fish. That had to have been one of the most, well, I was embarrassed for them, I mean, I was embarrassed that they felt they had to do something like that, put weights in fish to, I think there's something happening there, put weights in fish that, you felt that's how the only way you could win, and I don't know, man, and it was done over a period of time too, not just once but twice, and most cheaters and most people who buck the system and most people who like steal and things like that will do it more than once. So, if they did it once, they probably did it a few times. Very seldom do, you take the fact that, oh, it's the first time I ever done that, Nah. Well, water's calmed down a little bit. Let's get out Topwater and let's just pop that a little bit and see if we can't deliver that goodness. Let's try this. I got a 3D prism here. It's a proprietary lure by Yozuri. You can get these at like Ollie. It's the Yozuri 3D pencil. Their proprietary little prism look. And let's see if it's worth it or not. This will really, this does walk the dog really well. You have to give it its moment though. You have to hit it and just let it turn. Hit it, let it turn. Can't do it too fast. Otherwise it just kind of pulls through as like a jerk bait in a way, which can be used for one. I mean, you can pop that water every once in a while to make it look like it's an evading, bait fish, something that's being chased by other predator fish. That fires those predators up. They're like, whoa, I want some of that, I want some of that. It's like watching a bar fight, it's like you gotta watch it. you know, you can't help but not watch it. And, you know, for some people, it fires them up, gets them all fired up. Bass and human have very much a parallel, um, God, what am I trying to say? Relationship, characters to them, personalities to them, traits, if this makes sense. Um, we're very finicky, we're picky. Each one of us as individuals can be very, very picky as to what we want to eat, for instance, you know. Have you ever struggled as a parent? You go out to a nice restaurant and your kid just orders chicken tenders, you know? Well, think about it. There's just some bass in here that just, that's all they want is chicken tenders, you know? So if you're successful in a particular area, throwing a speed worm, like a 5-tail speed worm, any particular color or length, and if that's your go-to, man, rip it up. Those fish are, you know, something is in there that's telling those fish, man, that is the, you know, the bait of choice there. Or nothing works except maybe a topwater. Topwater will work for 20 minutes. All of a sudden, a change of temperature, a change of the wind, change of the surface. All of a sudden, now they want something else. Maybe they were just going crazy. They were going ham on those little 2.5-inch swim baits, and then all of a sudden they stop. They're like, I don't want, I'm kind of tired of that. I need something else. They'll pause for a moment. So they're very much like us, man. We'll pig out on something and we'll go to something else. You know, maybe one day we want this. Maybe, you know, next day we want spaghetti, Mom. You know, we're tired of the meatloaf. Come on, do something else with the burger, please. That kind of thing. Hope everybody's doing good today. Welcome to Saturday. We're here again, Central Florida. This is just a good time to get out here and get on the kayak. Around this time of the year, you have an occasional guest come down and stay. It's a great time to go bass fishing, I'll tell you that. But, you know, usually there's just so much more going on. Family, friends, parties. Christmas is just around the corner. Sometimes it's challenging down here to remember that it is Christmas because it's just always green and brown. And, you know, usually in the 80s. So it's kind of challenging, but they do go nuts on the Christmas lights down here because they can. They have all that time to work on those Christmas lights. What's going on, man? You are them tournaments. I love it. I love it. Kayak bass fishing tournaments are just a tremendous gathering of, I mean, some really cool people. I've just, you know, there's a few goofballs that you're like, okay, I don't want to share a bunkhouse with that one, but, you know, for the most part, everybody's just amazing and fun. And we'll be there to help you out. Very competitive crowd, but we'll also be there to help you out if you need, you know, help in any way, shape, or form. Speaking of needing help in any way, shape, or form, big shout out to Strictly Sail and Kayak, and they're located up in Blue Ash, Ohio. Strictly Sail and Kayak, they've been there since 1978. I was 15 years old in 1978. Just discovering many, many things, that's for sure, when I was 15. 1978, my parents thought it would be a good idea to send me to Plum City, Wisconsin to keep me out of trouble. I was finding myself in and out of juvenile there for a couple weeks. I had a motorcycle. Police chasing me on motorcycles, things like that, just doing stupid stuff. Actually really fun stuff, but you know, nothing stupid, just fun, having fun with the cops. And they thought, man, take me up to Plum City, Wisconsin. It's nothing up there but gravel roads. You know, kids, you know, my brother lived up there. He worked for a company called Weezer Concrete. made huge industrial cow barns. He poured the concrete basins for these barns. They're huge, tens of thousands of feet, with, thousands of cows in them, milking dairy farms. And so they thought they'd send me up there to keep me out of trouble. Well, little did they know that in Plum City, Wisconsin, because all they have is gravel roads, they drink a lot in Plum City, Wisconsin. And they will, in a minute, sell beer to a 15-year-old. Boy, did I have fun. We're running this up around some bamboo grass, and we're just kind of, hitting targets. So that's all we're doing. I have a pretty easy little rod here to work with. It's definitely underpowered. If we hook into a big fish near these lily pads, which is exactly where we're at. This is a matrix. It's a great rod for what it is, but it's a matrix rod. It's a 4 to 8 pound. So if we get hammered here, it's going to be a fun ride. It'll definitely hold that. It'll definitely hold the. Keep the hook pinned to the mouth, which is very, very crucial with these very delicate, like little treble hooks. So, but yeah, this is something I put together. This is a matrix. Right here, it's 6-foot spin jig series, 4 to 8 pound. It's my rock and roll rod. There you can see I have a volume knob of a Gibson Les Paul guitar on there. Something I saved. I looked. Had these for a long, long time. I've always been into playing music. And one night I was going, man, I need a butt cap for this rod that I'm doing. And there you go. So I thought that is greatness right there. Isn't that cool? What size shoe do I wear? I wear a size 9, 9.5 is what I wear. Yeah. Kind of off the rack. Those are the shoes you can never find at Goodwill. Like, down here buying Vans. I love Vans. Down here buying Vans at Goodwill. They're like a dime a dozen. I'm a brand new pair of Vans. You can get down here for like $10. But the 9, 9.5s are always gone. It's like off the rack. They're out of here. We're going to throw this a few more times. We'll pull out something else. See what happens. Looking around, it's kind of slow. Something pushed through here and it really stopped some of the water surface. You can see some bait fish moving around. You can see the bass hitting here and there. We're out in some open right now. Always look around. Always, keep your head on a pivot, not only for the alligators, but especially if you're in the inshore. If you're a relatively good bass fisherman, you're going to do really well in the inshore here. You just need the right lures and the right weapons, basically. But with the visuals, the knowing that you need to hit targets, how to read your points, ledges, things like that, and you do really well in the inshore. And the inshore will also really heighten your visual skills of here in the freshwater as well. It's really kind of opened my eyes, pardon the pun, to watching the weird water, watching the movements, and I never did really think of bass as, that fish that would actually sit there and you see that tail, or you see the movement in the shallow waters, or even in some of the deep stuff, they're up on the surface, just much like a redfish or big drum, something like that you would fight out in the inshore. So they're just keeping your head on a pivot, keep your ears out. You hear that splash of water, turn around, see what's happening. Maybe they're chasing bait fish at the time. That's a good idea to turn, pull out a fluke. So each lure that I'm gonna throw in the water, if it's not catching within 20 or 30 casts, I try another one. I just go down just down the checklist there. Hope everybody's doing good, doing good. Hello, everybody. Welcome. There's now, see, there's a big fish right over there that just jumped up. So let's throw this right there, up there next to those lily pads. Let that pause a little bit too. I'm not sponsored by Folgers, but I probably should be. Taking a moment and letting that lure rest, much like a devil's horse. Fish are, again, like humans, very curious. We hear something like, whoa, what was that? And we look around and we'll walk toward it if we hear it. We're very curious creatures. In a way, we're predators. Those are predator traits. You know, dialing in back to tens of hundreds of thousands of years, you know, we're sitting in the woods and we're cold, right? Can you imagine that with our bear skins up over us? Years like 10,000 BC or something. You know, we're just like, you got some hottie like cave lady. Remember Raquel Welch in Cave Woman? Someone like her just hanging out. And you guys are just freezing and you hear something, right? You're like, whoa, what was that? Your head pops up a little bit. You're like, either that's food or we're going to get eaten, right? Think about it. Bats do the same thing. They're still hooked up to the caveman days, guys. They're not watching TVs and, you know, AI and stuff down there. North Carolina sandhill cranes agree with me. I love those guys. They always chime in. They always have something to say. That is a beautiful sound. It actually is very prehistoric. It will scare the bejesus out of you. It's a bird that's not shy. They will absolutely walk in your garage and hang out. Like, I've actually been building rods in my garage and you feel something, like something in your hula hoop space. And you turn around expecting to see somebody and you look down, there's a 4-foot bird kind of looking at you going, whoop, 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 and it'll scare the bejesus out of you. And by saying bejesus, you know what I'm saying. A big old pants full of bejesus. Okay, we're gonna throw this thing one more time. Again, this is the Yozuri 3D pencil. It's a great lure. It's just not really happening right there. It doesn't seem like it. Yeah, maybe it's not the one we need right here, but this is the 75. 110's a little bit bigger than that, but it does make a great little walking the dog. It's got a great sound to it. Sometimes you're gonna burn these things. Maybe that's what we'll do right now. And that just, it doesn't really move too fast. It'll stay in that one spot for a moment. And what this is replicating is just a dying bait fish, you know, something that's just maybe was, get a little erratic with it. Something that, you know, may have been injured or something that's just on its last leg. Sometimes they look very much like a snake with that walking the dog pattern that they have across the topwater. But they are very, very exciting. Fun lure to use. Boom, right there. Yozuri 3D pencil. And using that with this matrix rod I put together. Spin casting 4 to 8. It's my rock and dock rod right there. And I can make one for you too. These are fun. These are great flounder rods. If you're in flounder fishing, but if you're a kayak angler, you definitely want something like this for a nice light popping core type, you know, like a Rapala popper or something like that. It's a great Ned rig, you know, finesse type lure as well. Let's throw this fluke through here. Flukes are a tremendous lure here in the very vegetative state of Florida. You know, we got lily pads, bamboo grass, all kinds of stuff. So really on a HD, a heavy duty, big, thick worm hook. It's a 6-aught, I believe, 6 or 7-aught. That's enough weight. That's all you need to throw a nice light fluke, and flukes do really well down here. So, you know, you can run it through all kinds of stuff. This is one of the first rods I ever built right here, man. This is an SJ 833 if you're gonna go fishing, bass fishing. If you don't have an SJ 833 rod in your rifle case, you're nuts. It's 6'11". This is an 8 to 12 pound. It'll throw a quarter to a half ounce lure. And boy, it just has a great action. Man, you can just sling it a country mile, all that space. Boom. Flukes, you can pop them. There's all kinds of different ways you can pop them because it's diving. It's woof, woof. It's under what beneath the surface too. So it's just boom, boom, boom. And it replicates an injured, a fleeing, bait fish. All those kind of signals really make a predator bass just kick it in. I'll jerk and pause. I have that soft plastic ran up over the eye of that hook, so it'll also give it a more of an ability to just bank and head off in different directions. And when you get hit, you know it too. It is immediate, just bam. I usually do put that with a leader. I'll use a 15-pound mono leader, tied up to like a 15 or 20-pound braid. You don't need a big heavy braid down here for bass. You don't. I mean, you can. I mean, I think a 20-pound braid is very sufficient for, bringing in any bass. Now, if you're punching, big thick mats like down at Okeechobee, you might want to move up to a much heavier braid, but I don't think you have to go that crazy. They talk about, the big braids that you need to use down here, big, thick, 50, 60-pound, braid. I don't think you need to do that. It's a little excessive. I like those long casts, the lighter braids, 15, 20 pounds. Gives me the ability to just really get some length out of my cast. I can cover a lot of real estate with each one. Boom. This is a green pumpkin too. A lot of times, maybe it's not the lure. It could be just the type, the color, maybe the length of that lure. That's how finicky these bass are, and you just got to figure them out. That's for sure. Do my feet look really big from this angle, or do they look really small? These are True Dave deck shoes, man. Big shout out to True Dave. If you guys aren't familiar with True Dave deck shoes or their hunting boots, many other types of boots they have, check them out, truedave.com. True Dave. These are, without a doubt, the best deck shoes I've ever had in my life. Very, very comfortable. I've even wore these to work. They're fashionable with that beautiful orange sole right there. They dry out really quick. They're actually really like sweaty proof, if you know what I mean. A lot of these deck shoes, you can really sweat a lot in them. Your feet just feel clammy. They're just gross. I think that's why a lot of people around here just use flip-flops, man, because there's something coming up after my... Come on. You see that? See that weird water is what I noticed, Something's coming up, I'm chasing after it, following it around, but something's just not wanting it. It's all right. We'll go to the next target, run it by there, see if we can't draw up any attention. Some of us are just not in the mood for sunshine. Same thing with bass, man. They're just shut down, all that bright sunshine. Maybe now it's time for them to get up underneath the dock or underneath some lily pads. They can't go to Wawa and get some fashionable sunglasses and a roller dog. Ain't gonna happen. So They don't have eyelids. They can't shut their eyes. So you think about that. These bass need to find refuge into some shade at times. And if you're, if you're in an area like this one where there's no bank shade, or no docks per se, you have to find that refuge in lily pads, thick vegetation, that kind of stuff. So, but there's not much sunshine, as you can see out right now. This definitely feels like a Cincinnati summer day right here, which is cool. Nice and cool, feels good. Big shout out to everybody that's heading up there to Dale Hollow. Wish I was with you guys. Steve Owens, best of luck on your tournament. And again, Little Miami Outfitters, go get them, buddy. Brandon Palmer, good buddy of mine. Check his, his rods out. LittleMiamiOutfitters.com. He builds them right. Very passionate. One of the extremely passionate about fishing. That's for sure. So we're getting up in some nasty right now. So we're going up in the thick of some of these lily pads, and let's just play around. Let's pop this thing around some of these and see if we can't get somebody to come up from, I think we're in about 6-7 feet right now, which is kind of deep for this little area, believe it or not. See me pulling every once in a while with that line, and what's nice about this setup is that if you keep that hook kind of pinned up underneath the back of that fluke right there, you got a nice weedless profile, and you can just pull these things right up through the lily pads. And if you get into the butt of the lily pad, you just really need to just kind of pull that, get a hold of the braid, and pop it through there, and it'll come up there really well. So let's just trim the edge of this lily pad. Let's just go around. We got a circle of lily pads here, and we're just gonna go around the edge here and see if we can't conjure up a storm. Now when you're bouncing these little flukes across the top of these lily pads, that also, that's a key trigger for bass that are chilling out underneath. And here's another kind of example of how we're very much like bass, and bass are very much like us. So you and your buddy are like chilling out in your living room, right? You're eating some pizza and you're just kind of kicking back and you're watching a football game or something, and all of a sudden you hear something up on the rooftop. And you look at your buddy and you're like, dude, you hear that? And your buddy goes, are the raccoons back? And both of you like, whoa, get interested. The TV volume comes down. You get up, put your shoes on. You go outside, you look, right? Are you with me so far? You toss one of these flukes up over the top of these lily pads, and it's like, up on the rooftop, click, 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 They're hearing that and they're like, whoa, something's up there, and they're following. That something can be a lizard. That something can be a baby bird. That something can be fish that jump out of the water trying to escape a predator, landing on the lily pad, trying to get back in it. That could be a frog. It could be a snake. It could be anything. It could be food. And keying in on. So, don't be afraid to hit these lily pads up. Will you lose lures? Yes, you will. Will you lose bass? Maybe. And sometimes, yes, I will say that you do lose them. They wrap up around these lily pads. You have to have the right equipment. But I'm telling you, man, this is, don't fear the pad. This is where these big F1 Florida bass love to reside. They really do. We're gonna give you a few more times too, buddy, and then we're gonna break out the demon. maybe slow burn some stuff through here. So I got an FP885, a flipping and pitching stick, which is, oh, there we go. There we go. There we go. Oh, I'm gonna get to this one, guys. It's a big one. It's SJ83. Just not. Oh, please stay. There we go. Gonna keep her pinned. We're wrapped up around lily pads. We were just talking about it losing. I don't feel it. Feeling more of the pad. These are smart fish, man. They just wrap up, or they. It's smart here. Not sure if I had a good hook set, to be honest with you. No, we lost her, guys. Oh, man. That was a nice bass. And this is what they do. So we were just talking about switching to the FP885, and that wouldn't have happened. That wouldn't have happened right there if I had that. The 833, the SJ833, and I've lost fish doing this before with this rod. This is where you got to be careful too about sticking your hands down and stuff. Look around for those alligators because they hear that motion, commotion, and think about it, they're predators too. So they hear that noise up on the rooftop, click, 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 man. Wow, that was a good bite. That was a nice bass. That was Lisa, 3+ pounder, jumped up out of the water. I saw that. But boom, that's all we're using right there. Let's switch over to the FP885. Let's use that. Let's get smart about the lily pads because this is what will happen, man. You get a big fish, and if you don't get that head turned and get them at you, the SJ833 just didn't have the power to do it. It's an 8 to 12. Ain't gonna happen. It's got a fast action on it, medium heavy. We need a mod fast with a heavy power cranking out of here. Hey, how are you doing? What's up, Jolene? Good seeing you. My friend from across the big water there. So yeah, good stuff, man. But yeah, we've been around. It has been busy. A lot of changes here in Florida with the work and all that kind of fishing's been exciting and all that kind of stuff. But it's good seeing you. We're gonna switch over to an FP885. I just got outgunned and got embarrassed right there. So we were in a kayak fishing tournament. That would have been a big loss right there because that was at least a 17, 18-inch fish, even possibly bigger. And that usually rounds out to a, a good 3, 4.5 pound bass. But that's okay. You can't do nothing about it except realize maybe that is exactly what they want to have served to them, but we need to serve them on something else. So again, we're pulling out the FP885. This is a very substantial rod right here. We're gonna fix up. Let's fix this up. I'm gonna cut this little swim bait off. I can still use this VMC hook here. I like the VMC hooks here because they have a nice little plastic, like a bait keep. And it's really nice because it will keep your soft plastic. And I'll show you here in a moment. I'm cleaning up all the other goo on. That's an extra wide gap, but it's got that spring lock on the front of it. Get off of there. And then it has that little plastic. It's almost like fish tubing. I used to make these things out of fish tubing, and will actually hold that lure up. You don't have to pin, you don't have to damage the top of the lure. Plastic there, you can keep that hook exposed by having this thing push it up and keep it pushed up. So that's a really nice little thing to do. It's keep it simple. It's like hillbilly genius. And by having that hook exposed, it gives you just an extra little oomph, like insurance for being able to set the hook. I'm going straight to braid. on this bad boy. There's no sense in jerking around. Huh. Somebody back at the little spot that I climbed through here. A lot of times you're literally in residential areas when you get into these areas here. And sometimes you can be right up in somebody's backyard. It's kind of funny. So you just try to remain respectful, you know what I mean? You can fish just about anywhere here in the state of Florida. And that's what's really cool about the kayaks. And you can just drop, this is an inflatable. I can put it right in my sedan, trunk of my sedan, which I do. I don't have to carry, don't have to load up a truck, don't have to load up a trailer, none of that kind of stuff. Okay, so let's put on, let's put this little soft, it's pretty ripped up, isn't it? Yeah, I think we still got some life out of this bad boy. So this soft plastic that a young man made for me, it just really has turned out to be great. And I've got to get in touch with him to get more of them. I want to buy a bunch of them. And it's very much like a gambler. Swim bait. Yeah, right there. Spring lock on the front. You can see how it's holding, pinning that soft plastic up against that right there. Yeah. Let's see what this does. I think we're gonna rock something, but you gotta have a big flipping and pitching stick here, my friends. Again, this is the FP 885. It's an MHX blank. Shabam! And I love you can just get some distance in this bad boy too. So that bass was right up underneath the surface. And I'm just gonna run this right up underneath the surface as well. And with that tail, I'm gonna make just a little wake. Make sure that's pulling through there. I don't like how it's pulling through there though. Why is that spin? Oh, okay, it's spinning because we got this little guy. Looking at it going, why is that spinning like that? It was just choo, choo, choo. Little swim baits, man. I'm telling you, that fluke was only what, 4-inch fluke, 3 7/4-inch fluke. So those, I'm telling you, that size, just make sure that's what you got. Bring you some flukes down here. Probably some like a golden shiner fluke, green pumpkin fluke, baby bass type fluke. Those work really well. Definitely bring you some speed vibes down here, like a ultra vibe type worm. They call them Florida swim baits. And man, you can just go real slow along the bottom and creep those things, or you can just really speed them. I don't like how this is looking. Let me see. Yeah, we're not getting enough off this guy, so. He did looked like he had a severe wound here. It's kind of taking the action out of his tail, so we want that tail moving and grooving. So speaking of speed worm, let's see what we got. So this is an ultra vibe type speed worm is what I'm talking about. Relatively big jumbo speed worm. You got that big tail on the back of it. And these do really, really well with, I should be throwing it with a bigger hook. but we'll have fun. See what happens. I just cursed myself. We're gonna get a monster. I'll lose it. So we're gonna punch that spring right in the front of that and screw it down. Now, when we come to putting the hook in there, you want that parallel with and you can usually see the mold line. Go to that mold line, even up with that mold line, and that gets you even, Steven, with the actual vibe tail itself. So you're in line with that, and it's gonna make that work a lot better for you as far as. Oh, something right there, something right there. Let's see what happens. Now that vibe tail is gonna just make a funny little as it cruises through the top water. So again, it's called the Florida Swimbait. Make sure that's looking, yeah, that looks good. That just flashes really nice. And I'm sure it's very tantalizing. Is that the word I want to use? Teasing. I think that's what it's very teasing to the bass, but I think that's kind of what tantalizing means. Tempting, right? I'm not sure. Could mean something very. No, that's not what that means. So boom, I'm just getting these cast out here, and don't have any fear, man. Just roll it right up over the top of these lily pads, and man, when that monster hits, just set the beans to it and get that head turned. Whoa, crow. Bird life down here is amazing. If you're into birds, man, Florida's a place for you. You get in a kayak, you're into photography of birds. I'm telling you, man. On any given day, bald eagles, herring, sandhill cranes, crows, hawks, owls, woodpeckers. Oh man, usually just to see one palidated woodpecker, I think that's the real big ones, right? The woody woodpeckers. To see one of those in your lifetime is kind of rare. I saw 4 of them. I saw 2 pair of them very close to here last weekend. It was amazing. And every time I see a woodpecker, one of those big woodpeckers, I think of a gentleman I met in Cincinnati, Ohio, at a coffee shop, who has been in an like a bird watching society his whole life. And this guy was like 80 years old, and he had never seen one. Never seen one. I was like, wow, you need to hang out in the woods, man. But that's how rare they can be for some people. And here in Florida, you can see 4 of them in one day at a moment. They're all following each other. I know they pair up for life, but there were 2 pair of them hanging out like buddies. Like they were like a family going on a vacation. You can probably hear the thousands of black crows we got over here. Can you hear those birds? Loons. I hope everybody's doing good, man. Christmas is near, and good. It's all good. Building rods for Christmas is always a lot of fun and fun thing to do. That's something that I will do more often. I sent a couple rods out already for some Christmas gifts to some currently unnamed folks. They'll know when it arrives, I'm sure. Either that or they're gonna think it's like a big, huge, like a sausage. Big, long, what's this, like a Subway sub? It's sent in a big, huge armor box. Little square box. And hopefully the United States Post Office doesn't fold it in half. Whoa. Those little overhand casts sometimes bird nest me. I'm using a very light braid, sort of a test braid that we have right now. It's very light. This is a 15 pound, but it's super, super thin. And it has its pluses and minuses, but so far it's been great. Where are the big girls? That's what we want. Don't necessarily need those big heavy girls here. You know, the females, I say girls because it's the female bass that really, whoa, whoa, let's go right back here, guys. That was a nice little blow up. Nice thing about these kayaks, especially this inflatable, it's so absolutely easy to get into these little areas where you're just not going to bring a bass boat or many other types of watercraft. With a kayak, you can just get right back into these shallows, up in these spawning areas where these bass will be. You'll see these fish take a whack at these birds too, and sometimes they're very successful. I don't think we're in that deep of water over here where I saw that, but big bass will climb up into, you know, some very shallow water, whether they're chasing food or going into their spawn. Let's flip. I don't want to run up on the back of any alligator, that's for sure. That's usually freak you out. Manatees are what freak me out, man. You hit a manatee, holy man, it's like a landmine. It's like an 800-pound cow. And then all of a sudden you wake it up, or you tickle its back with a Mirage Drive. You're in trouble. We're around some very thick stumps. Great, great target area for bass and other predator fish, bowfin, pickerel. I don't know if you guys can see now. You have some of the thick, we're only in a few inches of water here. Like, it's pretty shallow, so that was a big fish running through here getting some eats. That's only about a foot deep. I saw that water wake up and I was like, ooh, chasing something. It's chasing something. Let's get back out here towards some bamboo grass, stumps. You know, this is just really the name of the game. They don't call it, you know, catching. It's called fishing. There was something there and it ran me right through that. I feel a little tap tap, so there's something in there coming after us. This is part of the price too, you know, keeping your stuff clean. Get right back over here. Wow, sun's starting to come up, clearing up a little bit. We had some major fog this morning. It was looking rough when we started out here. Hey, so a little background on the rhinestone stuff and the new song that I just put up on my short. I encourage you guys to check it out if you're into deep diving crankbaits. I like to write songs. I've always written songs. I've been doing that for a long time. Always been into music. I have a passion for rhinestone suits and things like that. That old country history and rock and roll history for the most part. You know, Nudie Con, one of the original rhinestone outfit creators for, you know, such like a Roy Rogers, Gene Autry, you know, those B-movie Hollywood cowboys. And then, of course, Manuel, who currently resides in Nashville, Tennessee. Manuel's better known for Marty Stewart's elaborate rhinestone outfits, Johnny Cash, Clint Eastwood movies, the set of Bonanza, Andy Griffith's show. I mean, all these different iconic things that we've grown up with. That's the creators of those suits. I really kind of always been kind of enjoyed, and so the song "Crankbait of the Deep" is a song that I wrote. Ran it through the AI studio, and lo and behold, that kicked out, and I was pretty happy with the lyrics and how they turned out. And so I just put it together with some AI fun, and hope you guys enjoy it. But check that out. If you enjoy the song, it is available on Spotify, by the way. But I got some other songs on there too, some a lot of fun. So check out all my music at the Rockin' Star Ranch Orchestra or Cowboy Gasoline. Check that out. More of my heavier country stuff is in Cowboy Gasoline, and I like a lot of big band and Broadway show type songs. If you like dancing and movement, man, you'll like these. $1 Million Marlin. Oh, that's the best song ever. Love it. It's about a marlin tournament. $1 Million Marlin tournament. AI is a pretty amazing thing, you know. Sorry to say it, but you know, for the studio musicians out there that have that as a livelihood, you can probably say goodbye to that. You know, it's almost over. I mean, you're always going to have to be there in some way, shape, or form. But for a guy like me who can really only play like 5 or 6, like 5 or 6 chords on a guitar, to have the ability to be able to just express or write into an AI generator what kind of band, what kind of sound, genre, style, and then give my lyrics to it, and then have it kick out these numerous examples, and I could just play with that all day until it's done, and I'm happy with it. That is much better than spending hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on a song demo that would probably never be exactly like you want it because of your inability, and I'm saying this about myself, my inability to express to musicians what I need to hear. And often their own interpretation comes out, and you end up with a demo that sounds like crap, and you just spend, $1,000, $2,000 on it, if not more. And that's on just a real simple demo. Hiring musicians, the time, practice, getting it together, the studio, cost, and it can be very depressing. That's not the case. Absolutely, literally almost free at no cost. I can, in my pajamas, sit at home, put my lyrics in a generator. Lyrics that I've had around forever and will probably have never been pulled out of the cliff notes that they are in, because of, if there was an AI, I wouldn't go to a studio, and I'm done with that. And again, it's more of me not having the ability as a songwriter. I can hear it in my head, but I don't have the ability to express it or write it down. I can't write music. So boom, it can be challenging. And then from Cincinnati, it was very, very challenging, but that's done. So studio musicians, I love you guys, but you might as well apply at Bucky's management position or something, because that's just, that's probably just fun money for you guys anyway. There's full-time studio musicians out there. There may be, but I doubt it. Or part-time. Everybody's got a real job when it comes to music. And but anyway, "Crankbait of the Deep" is a song that, what's going on here, guys? Crankbait of the Deep is a song that while sitting there at work and all we talk about is fishing all day, I thought, you know what, we need a good hip-hop, funk, kind of kickback song about crankbait fishing, and I love crankbait fishing. So we pegged around on that for about 2 or 3 days, and that banger came out, and I went, oh my God, this is it. So that's a keeper, and that song is available to download, so check it out, you guys. Let's slow down a little bit on our delivery here. Let's take our time with this little speed vibe we got. This is a speed vibe from Bates, or not Bates, yeah, Bates. Bitters, I'm sorry, John Bitter. John Bitter's actually from Mount Healthy, Ohio. And John was a professional fisherman, I believe, and decided to open up a tackle shop, and it's a good place to get soft plastics. But if you're in the Oviedo area, Central Florida area, you definitely don't want to pass up Mudhole. You want to put that on your to-go list. It's like the Disneyland for anglers and rod builders. Absolutely is. Let's burn this a little faster. Let's see what happens. See if we just can't get someone to... I got to start covering some ground here. I got to get some action happening. By burning it a little faster, man, you are just making a tremendous swim bait out of this. And I am just running it right over the top of these lily pads. Let me show you guys what I'm looking at. Can I turn this bad boy around? There we go. So I'm just taking this. I'm just burning it. That's all I'm doing right now. I'm gonna figure out how they want this breakfast burrito served up to them. This is just a good way to trigger one of them, you know, at least find out, you know, okay, you're in there. Here's a whack at it. These vibe tails, these ultra vibe tails are a lot like whopper ploppers, but on the surface, you know, kind of thing. So we're just gonna burn it here real slow. You can see how it's pushing that wake up. And now we'll go over to the 11 o'clock position. So we're just kind of bombing this like Normandy, you know what I mean? We're just like hitting every inch of it, bam, 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 and covering it. We'll go over here to the 10 o'clock position. We'll go over here to the 9:30 position. Then we'll hit this little target area right here up in front, 12 o'clock. I'm gonna run it along the edge, right down this little avenue. It's like a, you know, it's like a little walkway, little freeway for fish right there, you know. You make it and rake it, they take it kind of thing, you know. It's like they'll come through here. Path of least resistance. So it's the first path that I want to check out. And again, I'm just running this ultra vibe, much like a swim bait, just been right along the edge of this little target here. And then as we get closer and closer to it, we'll start popping inside and amongst the pad itself area. So we'll start doing that now. We'll just get inside there. sun feels good. That sun feels good. I don't have many rod repairs to do this weekend. I feel like, wow, what am I going to do? Well, I better do something constructive. You know, they do say that the worst thing you can do for your angling, your fishing, is become a rod builder. And it's kind of true, because now you have to build rods or repair rods instead of having that free time to go out and do some fishing. There we go. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. There's something right there, guys. Let's see if we can't get that back over there. Jumped at it, missed it. I'm just gonna pop it around there, let it move. Give the bass the impression that it injured what it jumped after and got, and giving it that second chance. And some bass will react to that. You know, they injured something, it's fallen down through the water column. Well, it certainly came up after it, so that's kind of a good sign. It went after what we have to deliver here. He just didn't nail it, he just missed it. I'm casting right into that sun too. Over here at our 10 o'clock position. Hey, Mississippi, what's going on, man? Good Lord of mercy. Calling from Mississippi. Mississippi. That's the only way I can remember how to spell that in high school. Mississippi. I don't know who taught me that, but thank you. Because, you know, there's been many times. I still have trouble with Tennessee sometimes. You know, like, God, what? Sort of like, how many N's are in there, damn it? You always get that red line. Spell. Damn it. Getting old. So let's cast up into this sun. Man, we had a couple nice tankers we're missing. We're getting some short strikes here. There we go. Something's like happening right there. Right there in front of me. Let's burn this right over top of them. Come on. Something right in there. Our little male bass kicking around, having a good time. Life is good. So we've had a really good one just hop on us there about 20 minutes ago. That was a nice one. That one's okay right there. But at least we know that they're active. They're biting on something. So now it's just that painful, you know, and a lot of tournament anglers go through this. That first couple hours, you're going, wow, we just got to figure out what they want, where they are exactly. We're not using any electronics. I'm not crazy about electronics. I mean, you need them, and they're, you know, for what they are and fun. But if I'm just out kicking it, I actually learn more by just the old school way. Just, you know, the obvious. Understanding those, you know, bass and figuring them out, and what their character is like, and all that makes any sense at all. I like that rather than just sort of like watching a TV set, video game fishing, you know. I'm not crazy about it. I like, obviously, got that one little spot on here. I want to know temperatures, I want to know depths, I want to know, you know, plots, I want to know areas, locations, marks, locations, all that kind of stuff. Way into that, but not into the forward-facing sonar. But that's where we're at in fishing now, and it's only going to get better, finer, refined, more forward-facing sonar, and easier to look. Next thing you know, it's gonna be like watching Andy Griffith's show. It'll be that clear. Black and white, most likely. We'll have it in color, full color spectrums. You know, you'll be able to know what color the fish is. That'll probably happen in our lifetime, no doubt. It'll be able to tell you what size that fish is, how big it is. All that, I'm very confident. We were talking about cheating earlier by somebody I'd mentioned by putting weights in fish, and that's one of those. Yep, that's one of those ways that people have, you know, cheated the system. There's also been people that have cut the tail off of fish. Again, in kayak bass fishing tournament, it is the length of the fish. So somebody had caught a bass that had a very long tail, and they cut that off and applied that to, oh, come on, man. Applied that to cut that off of another tail off another bass and put that tail on it and hit it with their hand, you know, the cut where it was separated. So people have done that. I have a podcast out there called John Graves Kayak Fishing Podcast, and you can find it on Spotify and stuff. I haven't done it in a long time, but I got 160 episodes or so. But one of those episodes, we called, like in 2017, the 28, it wasn't that long ago when we called that, you know, one of these days they're going to be photoshopping these things, you know, changing the logistics, changing the, you know, where the picture was taken, you know, location, image location, that kind of stuff, you know, they'll be changing that kind of stuff, because you have the ability to do it on your phone. There will always be someone that will find a way around the system and try to cheat that system. And that's okay, because boy, is it fun to watch them get busted. It's like I love watching people get tased. Their toes all starch up and they fall over the fence and scream. I think that's funny. I will never in my life get tased. I'm telling you, if a cop pointed a taser at me for any reason at all, I would absolutely stop in my tracks. I don't like tasers. Electricity scares me. It scares me. I would have made a horrible electrician. I don't know why. I don't know why it freaks me out, but I thought of getting shocked. Doesn't do well with me. Hey, what's going on, man? Hope everybody's doing good. What's happening? Welcome to John Graves Kayak Fishing. We're here. We're not being very productive though, friends. I'm sorry, man. We'll figure it out though. We got, and this is often, you know, this is often the case. You're gonna spend 1, 2, 3 hours. If you haven't pre-fished or been in the area in a while, you don't know what's happening. So I'm just really tossing all different types of lures out there. I'm gonna go back to probably the, got a Swimbait on here now, you know, vibe, but we're gonna go back to we're gonna put a fluke on here. That fluke really seemed to garnish some attention. Let's do that. And it's bite-sized too with this hook. This hook's a little bit small for this big, huge ultra vibe. So that short strike back there is my fault. I take responsibility. Why is it so blurry? I don't know. Maybe let me check. Let me check and make sure that it was a little foggy here this morning. Might be on the lens itself. How's that? Maybe you need another cup of coffee. I'm not sure. Speaking of, we could be in an area too where there's some bad transmission. So That'd be good. But good morning, everybody. I'm not, well, sponsored by Starbucks, but probably should be. I'm going to be sponsored by Folgers. That's the working man's coffee right there. Let's break out some soft plastics. Do we got some flukes in here? Where are the flukes? Break out the flukes. I ain't fluking around right now. Oh, here we go. There's another one I want to test too. I got tubes. Tubes, you don't hear a lot about tubes here. They're big up north, but tossing a tube is kind of odd around here for the most part. And but I got one back there with a thunder shrimp jig, which is a saltwater jig. But it works great because it's just a ball head jig and it sets right inside that tube. This is a 6 cents jerkbait right here. Fluky. I call it jerkbait because that's kind of how you play it, but it is just a fluke. Oh, way up there. Okay, fish could become alive. Let's make sure this guy fits really well. They got a nice little recess, so it's easy to get right in the middle there. Bam, bam. Let's get it right up through the top. Come out right at the top. Got it, got it. Pin that little ball up in there. That little ball, the tube basically up underneath this VMC hook that allows it to be all that it can be. It's got a little weight to it too, so you can really get some casting distance out of it with this particular. Boom. So all we're doing is just popping it. Bring it up over these lily pads, through this grass here. And you're just doing it, even though this is not a fluke rod per se with the mod fast tip, it's not your ideal. It still operates as one, and that mod fast tip will have enough forgiveness to it to let that fish really take that lure, and enough of the action to it that will allow the lure to really kind of be all it can be when it comes to a fluke type, where it's just diving and moving in some really erratic. Whoa. Not sure what that was. In real fast, burn it in here, and get it right to the next little patch of bamboo grass. Let's get it in. I can get it in trash with this FP85, which is cool. I ain't afraid. You can get it in there. You're gonna get it out. I have lost very few fish, knock on wood, with this rod. When they hit it, I get it. I watch them cursing myself again, right? You can get nice long cast out of this thing too. This is a 7'4". It's a 12 to 30 pound. It's a great inshore rod as well. But if you're serious about fishing Okeechobee, big thick mats, punching plugs, having a great flipping and pitching stick, if you're not using an FP885, you're crazy. Just give your money to Christine Fisher. I'm telling you, because you're gonna lose the fish. You saw what happened to me with that SJ833. Lost the fish. Didn't have that power to turn that head, and it wrapped me around some lily pads. Something going on back there near my house. I live very close to here. Sounds like something's going on. I hope my house not burning down. So this particular body of water, I would call it Lake Momo, but it's connected to Lake Momo. It has me has me connected to some other bodies of water, but you tend to have to really trudge through. Wow, what's going on here, man? You have to tend to trudge through some areas that are kind of nasty. In fact, that's what we may be doing here shortly. Get out on another side of this. Let me tighten this up a little bit. I just want a monster to hammer this thing right now. That's what I'm so we're fishing for big fish, man. We're not going for no little fish right now. That's why we're probably not getting that many bites. There's plenty of males here that would love to fight for a small little swim baits and things like that, but I want some big fish. We're gonna make our way over to a little area that's been pretty good to me before. Come on. Well, I hope everybody has a great weekend. I'll be back in here later on this afternoon, so if you guys are hanging out, whatever you got going on, maybe you're doing something in the garage, maybe you're in the man cave, the she house, whatever they call those things. Maybe you're out fishing yourself. Be safe if you are. Make sure that you always wear that personal flotation device if you're in that kayak. Just keep it on all the time. If you're on a boat when you're going from place to place, make sure you got that personal flotation device on. Make sure you got that kill switch happening. You can imagine the number of boat accidents that we see and hear about here in Florida. There are many. All you have to do is go on Instagram and watch Only in Florida. It's very entertaining because, yep, only in Florida do these things seem to happen, but they do happen. You know, just recently we had a young man lose his life in some way, shape, or form. He was found, a kayak angler who lost his life. You know, didn't have a PFD on, whether that was the cause or not, but you know, that's make sure you have those PFDs on. That's for sure. I feel I have been to the water just last week, I think, or a week before that. I went to the Inshore and got all the way out there and found myself didn't have my personal flotation device on. I went ahead and I took the chance, and everything was good. Normally out there in the Inshore, you're not in any water that's deeper than 3 feet, so that's nice. But I felt naked, and I just felt really, really naked, kind of like it felt bad. You know, I didn't feel like something was off, so it is what it is. We're gonna trudge over here, get into a little boring. I got probably about 15-20 minutes that's gonna take me to get over to this little spots there. So I'll cut you guys loose here. I really appreciate everybody timing in. Man, this fish are jumping. Holy smacks, I gotta figure it out, guys. Liam, how you doing, man? I love fishing too, man. It's a great thing. Gray Fox from Australia. What fish are you chasing after today? I am chasing after big bass. Right there. We are going after some big trophy catch right now. We're just aiming for big ones, so we're having fun. Kind of a day off enjoyment kind of thing. Trying some different types of lures out, some homemade stuff too is what we're doing. So, but thank you so much, everybody. Really appreciate it, man. Hit that subscribe button if you're into bass fishing, if you're into rod building, if you're into inshore fishing and stuff, kayaks, that type of thing. We're building steam. I really appreciate it. If you have any suggestions, any things you'd really like to see, any of this equipment broken down and talk about, please send me a message or put it in comments there. I really appreciate it, guys. I'll be chiming in later on. Thank you so much. Love you. John Graves Kayak Fishing. Over and out.